Scott Frost got fired. And last time we talked was Saturday night. We were in the reaction. Katie said, "What are the chances you give him of being there on Monday?" I said, not very good. I think.
Yeah, you said 75%. I said I think it'll be done by the next morning.
I said 50. I was the lowest.
And it was done by
The next
Midday.
morning.
by noon.
Yeah.
It was probably done by morning.
1:30. Jets game just kicked off. I was in the stands.
It was, to me, they did not have any option because anybody who's saying like, oh, the money, the buyouts, any college program will buy out a coach if they want to bad enough. There is not a dollar sign on it that they won't buy out, and there was zero reason to keep him. You can't wait till I think you could wait longer than the next day.
I have a take that I'm woke to. I think I'm woke to the entire concept of buyouts. I don't think they matter at all.
I don't think they matter
I don't
either.
think they matter at all. If you're tired of having a coach, your fan base will do whatever necessary to not have that coach anymore. And I just don't think there's a number, and especially if you're a Big Ten team right now and you're getting ready to be part of a $1 billion deal, money, you can't afford not to fire a coach anymore. So Scott Frost makes it to, 3 games into his 4th season, maybe 5th season? 4th season, I believe.
Scott Frost?
Yeah.
5th. And I did the math just because I was curious. You know, people talk about the money. So he had a $3 million buyout to get taken away from UCF. So Nebraska had to give you that money to them. $24 million salary.
Yeah.
And then $15 million. And so
it cost him $42 million this whole
and then
experiment.
$7.5 million he gets to keep that he wouldn't have gotten to keep if it was after the buyout date of October 1st or whatever, right there. I honestly, if I was Scott Frost and I was like, I'm not a college football coach, but it's like, okay, I could win this game this weekend, and then I could lose to Oklahoma and I could get fired, or I could just lose this game and make $7.5 million more dollars.
Yeah.
I might take that.
I'm about to read you Scott Frost's career record as a head coach, and this is pretty shocking, okay? He has been a head coach for 7 seasons.
Mm-hmm.
You know how many winning records he has in those 7 seasons?
1.
Where he went 13-0. He went 6-7 in his first year at UCF. In his second year at UCF, he went 13-0, won the national championship. Then he gets to Nebraska. He goes 4-8, 5-7, 3-5, 3-9, 1-2. Outside of the 13-0 season that he had, he is 22-38 lifetime as a head coach.
Gross. And I will say, by the way, 2017, Jack, I feel like that was one of the first times we really bonded over some college football stuff, was making fun of UCF.
Yeah, it was our first year together.
Yeah, what a beautiful moment, making fun of UCF.
Uncontrollable cabin fires.
Yeah.
You said 22? He said 22-38.
I did.
It's 35-38.
And what did I say before that?
20-something.
Okay, what did I say, though?
Oh, I don't.
Outside of the 13-0 season.
Oh, okay, math. Sorry.
What's 35?
Move on. Move on.
It's all right.
Hand up.
It's okay.
KDL.
This is the danger.
Jack said common KDL?
No, I didn't say that.
Okay.
I did not say that. You would have heard that in the mic.
Within the office, I feel it's a common KDL.
All right, what?
This is the danger of hiring head coaches, especially the fact that he only had 2 years at UCF.
The problem with that thinking is, nobody in the world thought everybody thought this was a great hire. Yeah. Everybody in the world thought this was a great hire. And he's a Nebraska guy. He looked like a future star.
It's going to happen over and over again.
And then he shit his britches.
But I feel like a lot of times, yes, that was the hire that they needed to make. A lot of times we look back in retrospect and we're like, well, the guy hadn't proven himself to be able to take the Nebraska job yet.
I was thinking the exact same thing that you just said when I was looking at the record, and then thought about how he was in Nebraska. He was the quarterback. He was a pretty good quarterback for them. But if he wasn't, he wouldn't have got hired by Nebraska. That being said, it's hard to remove that, though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but here's the thing.
And people did think it was a good hire.
If there's a rising star in the coaching ranks, and he is from your school, and you have an opening, you can't not hire him.
I agree.
If you don't hire him and he goes on to be a great coach, and you never get him, that you're just an asshole.
I agree with you.
You cannot miss the boat on that.
Yep.
They were right to hire him and give it a shot. They probably hung on a little too long. They were able to look at last year and say 3-9, but a lot of close losses. We're going to give them the benefit of the doubt, and now they're 1-2 after losing to Georgia Southern. So they're not in a good spot. However,
Oh no, are you about to do this?
I got to do this. They're live this weekend, guys. Nebraska is
Brandon.
a lot. Casey Smith,
Brandon.
Casey?
Oklahoma's pretty good.
they're okay. They were leading 7-3 at the half against Kent State. They didn't blow out UTEP the whole game. They're going to walk into Nebraska. I want to take you back to 2021. Can I do that?
Do that for me.
What does Nebraska do in week 0 of the season? They go to Illinois, and they shit down their leg, and they lose to Illinois. They don't look good. They end up going to Norman a couple weeks later and competing till the very end, like being in that game. All I'm saying is the line came out at 13.5. It is now 11.5. Folks,
Don't do it.
Vegas is telling you, beating you over the head with a hammer to bet Nebraska. Mickey Joseph, the first black coach in the history of the school.
Not just football.
I didn't say their football program.
Not just football.
The first black coach in the history of the school. And that is incredible.
That's a shocking.
It
That's
is
incredible.
2022.
Which makes me wonder.
Especially they have track and field. I think that, and they have basketball.
What other schools? Are there any other Power 5 schools that have never hired a black coach in their entire athletic program?
Mm-mm.
I would think not, right?
I would also think that if that was the case, we would I'm shocked that we didn't already know that about Nebraska.
Ole Miss.
No, they've had they have a black women's basketball coach right
There we
now.
go.
They've had they had Broad Barnes, men's basketball was a good coach. They've had several.
Side note: speaking of women's basketball coaches, Dawn Staley was tweeting at me this weekend about how I'm dating an Eagles fan. She was like, "We're great, only after the dubs." And I was like, "Even women's basketball coaches want to jump in on."
Let's move on quickly. I just don't feel like we need to get Jack started on Dawn Staley.
The SEC is currently the only.
Sorry, I didn't think about that. My
No, it's
bad.
all good. It's
My
all
bad.
She's great.
Yeah.
My bad.
Shout out Jack's boy Clay Travis.
No. It's more a rivalry. But
that's
yeah.
right. Yeah.
No, but you are right. I could go a lot
let's-
of different ways
yeah,
with
let's
Dawn
not-
Staley.
Never mind. My bad.
So Paige Bucher's going to miss the season.
Well, she tore ACL.
How's Fudd doing? She not
She's
any good?
she's pretty good.
FUD?
Ozzy.
Ozzy
Oh.
Fudd, yeah.
She
Terrible
really-
name.
I forgot about how much I like these shirts. Sorry.
It's very Napoleon Dynamite-ish.
Yeah,
I will
that's-
say though,
That's why we made them.
the walls are closing.
For Dawn Staley?
No,
Oh.
UConn's women's basketball. Like they'll always be good, but the walls are closing.
Yeah, it's not.
The dynasty's done.
You know how
Yeah, kinda, I
Gino took women's college basketball from Pat Summitt?
Yeah, it's
Feels
gonna-
like Staley's done it to him.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, that was
I
your
ap-
brief
Yep.
I
women's
apologize.
college basketball
I
aside.
apologize.
Let's not worry about Scott Frost. He's gone. He's fired. He's about to
yes.
live the best life you can live. What a life
With
he's got.
tons of money.
Tons of money. He can go wherever he wants in the country. He can spend the next 3 months on a beach and decide to go back to work. Or
He could
just,
spend the rest of his life on a beach.
He really could.
He really could.
The man never has to work again.
No. And I mean, I think he's way too young to hang it up. However, wouldn't it be just kind of a perfect thing for you if you're like, I've been getting shit on for
Yeah.
the last 4 years, like first year, fine. It's been really hard for me and I just have all this money. I don't have to deal with it anymore.
Well, it's like Ed Orgeron said last week. He was it happened
me the
during
door,
our
brother.
show, but it was like they were like, Coach, we got $17 million over here. Show me the door. Which door do you want me to go out of? Scott Frost now just gets to live the life. You think Bo Pelini texted him and said, "Welcome to the club, brother"?
Maybe. We
I
should ask
wonder-
Bo. We should have Bo back now. Ask him if he'll go back to Nebraska.
I bet Bo likes Scott.
I would imagine. Yeah, he probably doesn't have any.
No, yeah, it was
ill
just
will.
like the guy that replaced them, or not
Yeah.
really, but like the second guy that replaced them.
Mickey Joseph, though, is
Folks, you
What a
He is
name!
you better keep
It
a
is a
big
great name.
time set of eyeballs on that game this weekend. That is not an untalented football team.
it's not an untalented football team. There's been a lot of
That's
issues.
not a good word at all. But that's not a
Why?
Are you betting it?
untalented is not really. I don't think that's
It
a great
is.
word, but
It's a fine
that's
word.
not a team devoid of talent. How about
I
that?
would much
Lacking in talent.
It's not a not talented team.
They got issues. Their defensive line isn't great. Their offensive line's okay, but there's enough there that they could be salvaged.
So I know we talked about players, coaches last week and how like it gets overblown. In these situations, though, I don't think it gets overblown. I don't know the relationship with the players and Mickey Joseph. I know he's new. He came from LSU.
Yeah.
All the things considered. However, in situations where in the middle of a season, especially in college, that an interim coach steps up, we've seen things in the past where it's like the players like really rally around that coach. I don't know if that's going to happen or not. I think Oklahoma is incredibly talented. I know they haven't played anybody yet. However, you're kind of convincing me that this is going to be closer than
All I'm saying is I'm getting the same vibes this week that I got with Alabama and Texas.
Are you betting it?
Yes. I'm betting Nebraska. When I get home today, I'm betting.
Just
I'm gonna
spread,
lock
not
that
money
number
line.
in. Yes.
What would the number have to get down to for you
Below
not to
10.
bet?
There will be a buyback when it gets to 10. If it gets to 10, there will be a buyback. I want you. I'm doing an exercise right now.
All right, let's do it. Okay.
Nebraska is open. They're the first plate to the buffet. They're standing in line. They're like an old person at 429 at a Golden Corral.
Bar.
They're standing in line and they're ready to go in and
Okay.
get their meal.
Mm-hmm.
And frankly, Nebraska's fan base pretty much is an old dude waiting to go to the Golden Corral. But anyway, it doesn't matter. Stop me when I nail it, okay? If every job came open tomorrow and every team was looking for a coach, Nebraska is a top 5 school, top 5 job opening in this country. Stop me. Nebraska is a top 10 job opening in this country.
Every single.
Nebraska is a top 15 job opening in this country.
I'd argue that.
Nebraska is a top 20 job opening in this country.
I'd say 20.
I'm going to go a little further.
Oh no.
I'm going to say like between 25 and 30.
Okay.
It has the potential to be very high.
It has
Because
potential,
they own that market.
they own that, but that's not a very good market to own.
I know.
There's no talent there. You have to go to Texas. You have to go to Florida. Tom Osborne used to be able to do it. When you lose that ability, when you're somewhere that isn't a great location for football, and you lose your pipeline, Tennessee's another one. Tennessee is in a better area than Nebraska, but Tennessee used to go to Georgia, get whoever they wanted. Used to go to Florida, get whoever they wanted. When you lose that, it's impossible to get it back. And Nebraska, where are they going to get talent? Like if they go to Florida, are they getting a guy that Alabama, Georgia, Florida, Tennessee? Are they getting somebody they want? No, they're not.
No, and the reason I would even say 20 is because I would put them at 20. Like if it was like 15 to 19, I wouldn't have said that. I think it's definitely in the 20s. The issue with it, and this is not just Nebraska. This is a situation that happens anywhere. You mentioned it when you brought up the buffet, the old dude at the buffet. The guys that are making the decision, the people that are making the decision on who to go out and get the next coach and then to recruit those players don't realize that the kids that are being recruited right now don't see Nebraska as a national brand unless they grew up in that part of the country, because Nebraska hasn't been really, really good since the 90s.
But here's the key.
That's not to say they're not a great brand of college football, but
Here's the key.
18-year-olds don't remember that.
Your job ranking doesn't actually matter. It doesn't. And here's why. Was Clemson a top 3 destination in top 2 destination in the ACC before Dabo got there? I would say
No.
certainly not. Miami and Florida State were both ahead of them. And Virginia Tech could have been argued at the time in the early 2000s.
Clemson was a joke at that point.
There are certain places that the
They're
coach.
not gonna like that.
I don't care. They're a cult.
No, I'm just letting you know that
In 2000,
They were a joke because
when did Dabo get there?
They were a joke because it was Clemson. Yeah.
When did Dabo get there?
They were quite literally a joke.
2011, I want to say.
And I also
Between 2001 2010, ACC job openings, Miami and Florida State were better.
Yes, I know.
Period.
I agree with you.
And
yeah.
I can say they were a joke because like they were the butt of a joke. Like it's not saying that the school itself
he came
was.
in 2008.
2008, and he got there in the middle of the season, so he's
He's
probably
been
the interim.
there forever.
Yeah, well, he's a good-ass coach.
Yeah.
So
No,
he's a
I know.
real
It's
good
just
coach.
crazy to think that he's been there that long.
It's crazy that people were like, Dabo has to prove himself this
Yeah,
year.
no,
He
I
made
know,
1,
it's-
2, 3, 4,
Yeah.
5, 6 straight playoffs, 2 natties,
Insane.
lost in another 2 natties.
Yeah.
And
no,
to
he's-
go in year 2 and have the winning season, win 9 games in year 2. I mean, that's
Yeah,
just
he's a good coach. I don't know what y'all want me to say. He's a good coach. Now, anybody want to make a prediction of who's coaching Nebraska next year?
Yes.
Who
I
is
think,
it?
Yeah.
I think it's Matt Campbell.
Jack is not alone in that, because if you look at like coaching searches, like if you just Google Nebraska coaching
I've heard
search
it's
right
his
now,
contract to sign.
That's
like it's
every national publication
Yeah.
is saying what Jack just said. Do I agree with that? I obviously don't know what's happening behind closed doors, but there's not a publication out there that doesn't at least make it seem like it's Matt Campbell's job to
Okay,
lose.
here's a couple things. First of all, I think college teams are going to have to wait and see what Matt Rule does. If he gets fired from the NFL, Matt Rule is going to be a hot name in college football. Can I throw out a name that you will not see on any list?
Can I throw out one too?
Yeah.
I wonder if it's the same one.
What's yours?
No, it's yours.
No, what's yours?
No, it's yours.
say it.
What's the first letter of their name?
T.
Oh.
Oh wow, no, that's one I haven't heard. This is a good one. I really like this.
Oh, well, mine's D.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like yours.
TD.
This is an interesting one.
What's the first letter of your last name?
You don't
That'll
know
give it
already?
away.
I have no idea.
I know what you're saying, and I think if they swing and miss on a few, he's gonna get a call.
I
Not-
agree.
I have
Not
no
surely
idea
not.
what's happening.
Yes.
Not who you think. Not
Yes.
90-year-old man.
No.
No.
Oh,
Okay.
did you say
No,
no?
no,
no,
no.
Not Tom Osborne. No.
Okay. Who are you saying?
Tom Herman.
Tom Herman.
Yeah.
No.
Oh,
no,
I
no.
think he
Guy
could.
failed at Texas. No,
he-
mine's
but he-
better.
Here's the thing: is he failed at Texas for Texas standards?
D?
He had 4 winning seasons at Texas. Nebraska, as we've seen, has not had winning seasons in a long time. Tom Herman didn't meet the standards of what the University of Texas wanted. He still had 4 winning seasons. Nebraska is quite literally going to pay millions and millions of dollars
And they don't have
for
to
a winning
pay,
season.
pay a buyout for
If
anybody.
listen, I would call Dave Aranda tomorrow, and I would say, Dave Aranda, you're at Baylor. You're a good coach. You're a good. What's it going to take to get you to Nebraska? Make his ass say no. Nobody. Florida hired last year. LSU hired last year. So many good teams hired last year, and nobody made him say no. Make him say no. He's one of the best coaches in the country. He's at Baylor. Baylor's a good job. Nebraska's a better job.
Do you think that he's been the head coach for long enough to prove consistency?
I don't know that you care about consistency. It's about finding lightning in a bottle. They whiffed the last time, but Dave Aranda not only has the 2-year the solid year last year at Baylor. I mean, he was one of the best defensive coordinators in the country.
I had not thought of him, so you're right. He's not on those lists. At least give him a call and see where he's how he's feeling. I think Tom Herman. I don't think they're going to go after him first.
Brandon's about to lose his mind.
Oh no.
I don't know who wrote what you've got in. You've got ESPN.com, College Football Insider, the list to replace Scott Frost. Go to the top. Okay. Iowa State coach Matt Campbell.
Can we
Fine.
check who wrote it?
Fine.
Adam Rittenberg.
Adam
I don't
Rittenberg.
really like
Okay,
this
well
stuff.
here's my plea to the audience: never read anything written by Adam Rittenberg again.
He's not bad.
I'm sure he's not.
He's great for news.
Iowa State coach Matt Campbell. Fine. Yes, obviously. NC State coach Dave Doran. Good. Cincinnati coach Luke Fickell. That's they also need to call him. My 2 calls would be Fickell and Aranda. If they say no, I move on.
I think Notre Dame's scratching
No,
their
stop
head.
right there. USC defensive coordinator Alex Grinch. Alex Grinch has been the worst part of Oklahoma's team the last 2 or 3 years. He's been terrible. He's been awful. Now at USC, he got to go with Lincoln Riley, but there's no proof he can even be a good defensive coordinator, let alone a good head coach. And then the next one is
This is the one that I knew you were gonna.
Yep.
This is why you stopped me. I couldn't figure out why you stopped me. I thought she was pulling up the rest of it with Mickey Joseph and
Auburn coach Brian Harsin.
That's
He's about to get his ass fired at Auburn. He no. What do we know? I just Tom Herman. And again, this is a big no for me too. Are y'all kidding? Did y'all not see Tom Herman?
He had.
Why the hell would you think Tom Herman?
I mean, he had 54-22 record as a head coach.
Yeah, and he won big games. He won the Sugar Bowl. We're back.
He couldn't win. He couldn't win with the most resources in college football. What's he going to do with this challenging job?
He couldn't win to Texas standards. He couldn't elevate Texas. And I
I
mean,
will say though,
he has a 54-22
really
overall
good
record.
point by Brandon though, because you probably 8 years ago, if this happened, we would have been not 8, 5 or whatever. We would have been like, oh, Charlie Strong's going to get a call. Charlie Strong did nothing at Texas, then went to South Florida and tanked the program again. So he's.
Yes.
I want to read more of this list. Kansas State coach Chris Kleiman, good coach. Kansas coach Lance Leipold, maybe one of the best coaches in the country. Wisconsin defensive coordinator Jim Leonard. That's interesting. That's an interesting name. That's a guy who I think Wisconsin fans are going to start turning on Paul Chryst for very, very soon.
to want him to be the head coach.
Because he's their guy. He's Jim
Yeah.
Leonard. You don't want to lose him. Alabama
And he's-
offensive coordinator Bill O'Brien. Just shut the program down now if you're hiring Bill O'Brien.
That can't be
Why?
a real thing.
He was fine at Penn State.
Fine, but not. Then he goes to fucking. He doesn't fit to me 2022 college football.
Okay.
And when he went to the Texans, he was so damn conservative, so boring. You can't hire conservative and boring in 2022.
Okay.
Can't do it.
Also,
Texas
it's-
Special Assistant Gary Patterson.
Just
no.
really quick, it's really tough whenever you're like, I'm just like scanning these. It's really tough if you bring up like in the middle of Bill O'Brien's description, you have to drop the Jerry Sandusky thing. Anytime you see that, it's like, all right, just keep moving on.
Yeah, well, that was just good. He went
No, I
15
know,
and 9
but,
for
like,
a
you just
program.
don't- that's
I
just
don't want
not-
to read it either. Yeah. All right, so there you go. There's Scott Frost.
Matt Rule is like, and I know that he's only been there for 2 seasons. This is his 3rd season for Carolina. But if he's trying to look for an exit to get out of the NFL, this would be one hell of a very pretty excuse. Like, well,
That's a hell of a parachute.
It's like, oh, well, I gave the NFL a chance, but before they turn on me because I'm not winning any games, aren't they like, hasn't he only won like 10 games with Carolina?
Oh, he hasn't been good at all.
Yeah, 10 and 21, I think.
So, like, this would be a nice little bow for him. Like, well, I mean, I can't turn down the Nebraska job.